The only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast. Welcome back to your favorite movie podcast. I'm Andy Matzke.
I'm Santino Vitale.
We are two Ohio born and bred filmmakers who love movies, love talking about them, love making them, love thinking about them. We love movies. And if you love movies, you're in the right spot for The Only Problem. I was made extremely aware of the fact that I don't enunciate the word problem when I'm casually saying it very well by the fact I recorded the intro for last week's episode today. And I, for like the only problem, I do it. But any other time I was saying problem, it's just like problem. I
You
like,
just swallow the,
I
the
would,
word?
I would swallow it. So now for the foreseeable future, I will be saying problem every time I say the word. So
Probably. You'll probably
probably.
say it. Yeah.
I'll probably be doing that. But how we doing this week? How we feeling?
We're feeling squirfy, we're feeling existential, and we're feeling surreptitious
I
at
was gonna
times.
say vindicated. Can we say
We can
vindicated?
say vindicated. About
I'll
what?
say
Just
I
in
was
general?
just in general vindicate.
Yeah.
There's been a vibe of vindication,
Yeah, I feel enunciated too. I feel like things are a little more pronounced grammatically
like
speaking.
problem,
Yeah, yeah,
problem.
exactly. Where there's more, we don't have loose vowels. There's no dangling participles or dangling chads.
Yeah, the phonetic scene is up. I
Absolutely.
I had quite the hoot re-listening to part of the old podcast because that's what we used for last week's episode,
Oh
this week's
yeah, out
episode,
of
last
out of the
week's
bowl.
episode, and I I cut out all our banter because there's 8 minutes of us just spitting nonsense, which if you're a fan of this show, you're probably wondering what's different
Right.
than what you normally hear. But I felt like let's be streamlined. There's a lot of talk about like artificial intelligence. It felt like an episode we recorded 10 months ago.
Yeah.
Um
Was it that
I
long ago?
well, okay, so it's this weird thing. This is very interesting for current listeners of the show. That old podcast, I swear we did like 2 years ago that never came out, and it was last winter.
Yeah, that was
It
like
was less,
December.
yeah. So that really shows how much life's been going on for me that I
Hmm.
really felt like it had almost been like I wasn't quite sure. I knew it was
Yeah.
sometime last year-ish, but
Yeah.
last year-ish in my mind was like forever ago. So this week on The Only Problem, we are talking about the 1987 movie The Gate. But before we do that, we had a weird episode last week
Hmm.
because we did something together that I've been told we can vaguely talk about.
Yeah, vaguely. Basically, our regularly scheduled program was interrupted because we had to go and actually make a short film. And so you and I drove across. I was going to say down, but it's actually west. We drove across the way over to Ashland and we stayed in an Airbnb, a nice old century house craftsman. Very, very nice, very hardwood floors, very, very, very chic. And the next day we got up at the crack of dawn and we shot for, I kind of look back on it, it was like 15 hours
Something
because
like that.
Sammy
Yeah.
and the crew got there at 7 and I don't think they left until after 9. So it was like 14 and a half to 15 hours and you and I didn't leave until 11:30. So
We didn't know
aside
we
from
left before
lunch,
then. I think I left your house at 11:30. Or
no,
did I
you
leave
left
your
you
house
left my
at
house
like
at 12:35.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
No, because I went over it. I went over the numbers carefully and you and I were on our feet counting the only time we sat down for lunch. We were on our feet for 17 and a half hours.
That is
And
wild.
it was magnificent. I
I
don't know
s-
about you, I had a wonderful time.
I had a really good time. I was just telling some of my family members about it
Mm.
tonight and my extended family. I've told other people about it already, but extended family about it and just how fun it was. My big takeaway would probably be just a reminder of how much filmmaking is a collaborative effort, but not all of that is cool. And that's part of what was
Mm.
fun for me, right? Like, and like, I really mean this because this can sound maybe backhanded, but that's being paranoid. I don't think I did a lot involved with the production that was like cool. You know, if I just told people like, "Oh, this is what I went and did," they'd be like, "Oh,
Mm.
it's neat you're involved with a short film, but you did what?" But it was so neat to see, especially like you and Sammy making something that was so good. And then the fact that that takes supporting people. Like if you maybe this is like the lesson can be, you know, you sit there through the credits of a movie waiting for
Mm.
like some post-credit thing and you're like, why are there all these people here? It's because it takes a lot of people to make a movie, even if you're doing some short film that you shoot over the course of a day that's a minute long. It like you need the people who are there. And like I felt needed. That's the thing, right?
Mm.
Is like I didn't feel like I was doing nothing. I just did a bunch of small, random little stuff, including, you know, talking to the cast when they arrived, greeting them, and like keeping an eye on the script, holding a door open, like all sorts of stuff that I was totally like you're saying, like I was involved with the production for all of it for 15 hours, plus setting stuff up the night before, plus taking everything down and cleaning up the night we left. So like, well, the next day. So
Yeah.
it was just like it was, and that was really cool. Like it was, and especially to see just like I feel like we all worked well together. I'm super excited to see what happens, and also then to have the day ended with like you chasing me was really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who are going to be a little thrown off by that statement, I can say this much. There was we can say stunt, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know
Ooh,
if it's
yeah,
exactly a stunt, but it was kind of a stunt where you needed to be run down by a car or a car was chasing
yeah.
you.
Where and I
And
mean that's to be fair. Like it was pretty cool that there's going to be like 2 seconds of me running away from a car,
right.
um, but it
We did
was
it
just
safely.
we did it very safely.
Yes.
And we also would like half the takes at least, and you probably know the exact number, end in us laughing, which was
Yeah. There were about 3 out of the 5 takes where we just busted up laughing.
yeah, it was
Because
like the you laughed the first one, and then the second one I remember like it hit me the silliness of what we were
yeah,
doing, and
the
it's probably
absurdity of
unusable
everything.
because it's like it was yeah, it was wild, and but it was a really fun time. We'll be able to talk about that more later,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah,
hopefully.
it's fully edited now. I just have I think 7 more effect shots to go out of the
Nice.
like 15 or 17 that we ended up with more than I originally intended, as is always the case. But we got good material. Sammy did a great job. You did a great job. Ivy did a great job. Everything came together, and I'm looking forward to talking more about it when it's released.
Awesome, awesome. So the gate.
Yes.
Do you want to give a summary of the gate?
Sure. Sure. So, in summary, The Gate, well, first of all, The Gate is a movie I've been telling you about for probably most of the time we've known each other. It's a
Probably.
Halloween classic for me, and it's a lot of fun. It's a monster movie. And basically, it's kind of that like Amblin Children in Peril kind of subgenre where you have these kids and they play a record backwards, and it just so happens to release a demonic force that's, for whatever reason, inhabiting the hole in the ground where their treehouse used to be after the tree was taken down. And
Yeah.
so they're
They
home
read
alone on the weekend and have to fight it.
they read an Etch-a-Sketch that has the thing that has
Yeah.
the spell that they
Hmm.
cast that opens the because a geode opens
Right.
and it hits and there's like a spark of electricity and the geode opens to then they read this weird incantation
Mhm.
which is not like I don't know, it's just random gobbledygook.
Yeah,
And
and it's like hieroglyphs too. So one wonders how they're able to pronounce this phonetically, but
yeah, yeah.
it's
Anyways,
absurd, but it's a lot
so
of
yeah,
fun.
and then demons question
Mhm.
mark come out of the hole in the backyard and
Yep.
it's a portal to hell. I mean, not a portal, but it's a
It's like a waiting room to hell. It's
it's
definitely a
like a
foyer.
there's like a passage. It's a
Yeah.
passage to hell. Um
It's a
that
little heck nook.
Heck Nook might be I might need to name a room in the house the Heck Nook.
Yeah.
Just just for the, you know, thrill of it. But yeah, it is kind of this it's a okay, so as a guy who this is my point of reference, right? This is so much of a like, why don't we talk about this as an inspiration for Stranger Things
Mhm.
movie as like I've ever seen, which I know there's actually that's not true. Stand by Me
Yeah.
exists and there's others, but like underrated influences on things like all the 80s love that we have now is The Gate, because it literally starts with red letters on a
Hmm.
black background, which it's not the only movie that does that, probably. Okay, don't, hey, haters, back off. Let me get my thought out. But, there's just that level. And it's like the kids and they're all young and having fun. Well, not really, but,
Yeah, yeah. They're pretty terror-stricken for most of the film, but they're having fun.
yeah, good old fun. Like they'll look back on it and be like, that was fun.
Yeah. Remember that time we blew up the house while mom and dad were gone? It was good
Yeah.
times.
So I watched this movie this afternoon, which I will
Yeah.
admit is not ideal movie time watching, but hey, life gets crazy
Hmm.
here in the great Midwest, and life's been crazy. So I watched it this afternoon and I like shut myself off from the world and I was like in. And
Did you watch it on the projector or did you have
yep,
to? Okay.
yep, I watched
Does
it
it
on the
get dark enough
projector.
in there in the day?
We've put up decor update. We've put up like room darkening shades
Oh, nice.
all around and over the like doorway.
Hmm.
So it can get pretty dark in there.
Sweet.
Wasn't super, super dark, but like significantly more dark than it would get before.
Hmm.
So I was I was really interested by this movie from the dream sequence on. So the movie opens with this dream sequence and I felt it coming. I was like, oh, this is a dream. And then it was a dream, which
Hmm.
then left me wondering when the movie was going to be a dream again, which never
Yeah,
is
never.
not really clear. I think my other initial impression, and this is like that's my feelings about the beginning, and then when I talks about the end, not the like the end part, but my feelings of the movie was I thought it was going to be over when there was still about half an hour left to the movie.
Yeah, it
When
does that.
when it does that, but it does that and then it does it a lot. There's not like I
Hmm.
thought it'd be like one more, oh no. But then it's nope, this is the third act. This
Right.
is the third act of the movie. So that was an interesting like, huh, sitting there watching it moment. Uh But it's just, I feel like this is a movie that will grow on me. I didn't
Hmm.
hate it. I didn't hate it. I liked it, but it's very it's very like of the times
Oh
in
yeah.
many many ways. One of which being I feel like nothing interesting happens in this movie for like 45 minutes. For like half the movie, it is just oh, 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 for a lot. And maybe this is me being young and silly and TikTok influenced
Hmm.
and I need everything happening all at once, which I don't think it's that. But this movie like it takes its time, man.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
it's a
much
beast
like
movie.
Godzilla before it, it takes its time. It takes its time.
I mean,
There's about a solid 35 to 40 minutes before you get anything substantive. Yeah.
yeah, it is it's yeah, I was just distracted thoroughly by my AirPods case. Don't mind me, guys. I feel like you just they spent their budget on the second half of the movie
Hmm.
and all the other stuff they're like okay we got to figure out how the heck we're going to do this with
Exactly.
$4. The effects are really good, they hold up and were surprisingly good at
Yeah.
times. It is a stop motion, there's stop motion in it,
Hmm.
big fan of that. I liked that more stop motion than there was in Godzilla, I'll give
Yep.
it that. um I think the characters, what's interesting about the characters is I feel like they're less, oh, it's the 80s than a lot of
Hmm.
80s movies. Like it's
Yeah.
87. By this time we've made it through a lot. So what I mean is like they're like played pretty serious, but then the movie's really funny at times. And
Hmm.
I didn't know, I don't know, there's a balance there and it does it well. It does the comedy balance well. This movie is a big fan of smash cuts. So like
Hmm.
a thing happens and then it's like, bam, something else.
Yeah.
Does that and to good comedic effect at times. So
It's
tell
it's
me
it's
what you're
campy for
thinking.
sure. It's campy for sure. I think somewhat to your point on the characters is, you've got a young Steven Dorff as the lead. And he doesn't really act particularly well. I think he's like 10, maybe 12. You got preteens. They are what they are. They're serviceable. And like you said, they aren't like super, it's not super 80s like in the way you would expect it to be.
But
Um,
also, there are some 80s things that we're going
oh
to talk about in
yes,
a bit.
for sure. I mean the hairstyles and a lot of the wardrobe and everything else. And there's some other stuff later that gets very 80s. But the lead kid is, obsessed with NASA and rockets. And we don't really like that's kind of like a shorthand for we don't know who this character is. So we're just gonna give him this love of rockets, and that'll just have to suffice.
There's a lot of that in this movie of like, here's your plot point.
Hmm.
He loves his sister, and
Right,
his sister's trying to be cool. And it's
right.
like,
And her name is
okay,
Al, because
because it's the
that,
80s and we're gonna
yeah.
have a
It's
weird,
Alexandra, but like they call her
yeah,
Al because any heroine in a horror movie has to have a effectively a male name, like a short, punchy male name, Sam,
Fred,
Max, Sid. Well, yeah, Fred, Biff, Frank, you know,
Dort.
Dort. But so Al, yeah, so it's a lot of that kind of hand-fisted writing where they're like, he loves his sister. You're not going to get any more development on that.
They used to have a better relationship than
Right.
they do now. Thank
And
you, movie.
we don't really know why, other than she's just older than him and is kind of annoyed with him. And you know what? Rightfully so. He's kind of an annoying kid.
These kids are punks, man.
Yeah.
Like, I I I don't know if it's realistic. I don't know if it's realistic for the 80s, but because things change, times are
Hmm.
different. But man, dude, these girls hate these boys. Like
Hmm.
Al's friends
Hmm.
hate those kids.
Yeah,
And
those two sisters are great, by the way.
those
They're the best
kids,
actors in the whole movie, too.
they are. And those kids hate those girls.
Hmm.
Hate them. Hate them. It's wild. Wild stuff is said between.
The
And I like how
well,
it's PG. It's like
yeah.
PG-13 and then it's not at
Hmm.
times and it's
Well,
like
that's the 80s.
it's the 80s. Hey,
Hmm.
it's the 80s. But
PG in the 80s, you could get like boobs and blood with PG in the 80s. Like it was, Spielberg, here's a fun fact for those playing along at home. Spielberg is the reason that we have PG-13. He invented it. He went to the MPAA and he was like, "Hey, we should really have another rating between PG and R because this is like PG right now is kind of a wild west." And it's literally, I don't know if it wasn't after Jaws, but it was, let me think after Poltergeist and a little farther in, I'd say by mid 80s. I forget what movie it was he was trying to do, but he ultimately played a big hand. I don't know if he was single-handedly responsible for convincing them, but the MPAA got PG-13 due in large part to Spielberg. So that's fun. But yeah, PG in the 80s, you could get almost anything. And speaking of banter with these characters, I think my favorite hands down favorite line in the whole movie is you have this weird exchange between those sisters and Stephen Dorff's lead kid character, whose name escapes me, by the way. What the heck is his name?
well, look, I'll look it up. You think of the banter.
And so they're talking, and like you said, they hate him and he hates them. And they're like calling each other names. And at one point, he just yells, "Suck my nose till my head caves in." And I
Yes.
lost it. That's my absolute favorite.
Yeah, suck my nose. And then right around then he says, eat your feet.
Yeah, eat your
I
feet.
wrote that down. I was like, that's good, man. Because it's
Mhm.
all these PG screw yous. And
Yeah.
then there's a it's the 80s. We're
Hmm.
gonna drop things you can't say anywhere
Right.
anymore.
Hmm.
But oi. But it's the 80s and it's really funny. It's good dialogue. The kid's name is Glenn.
Oh, that's right, Glenn, because he has like a middle-aged car salesman's name. Glenn.
Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn. The fact I watched this movie today and I was like, that's a good question of what his name is.
Yeah. I don't think they say it much through the movie until the third act. And at that point, you're kind of there's like a 10 or 20 minute like interval at the beginning of a movie where you can take in who characters are and what their names are. And if you don't get that information, you just kind of tune out. And I'm saying this like myself as well. Like that's when you're
Yeah.
supposed to introduce characters. And this movie kind of doesn't do that very well. Or if it does, it would I didn't pay attention the 7 times I've seen this. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you said, the first 30 minutes or so is kind of like, okay, what are we
It is,
doing?
to be fair, it is very, no, I don't know if I'll give it that. It's close to like a Stand By Me, we're just hanging out with these kids
Right.
movie. I would not put it
Not quite as
necessarily near
good,
Stand
no.
By Me. But
A budget version.
And then all of a sudden it's like, what the frick are we doing here? I
Mhm.
think the tipping point of the movie is I'm trying to think of what happens. It's either when the dog dies. No, it's
Yeah.
not. Or it's when we have the scene with Terry, the other
Hmm.
little boy, who
Yeah. He's a big
best
punk. He's like the
best
worst.
best character in the movie,
Hmm.
maybe
The
best or
punk
worst.
rock ginger with the big thick glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who there's a scene where we're like introduced to his house and he's in his room and it's a bunch of metal and he's like singing along and then he knows
Hmm.
the voiceover
Yeah.
or like the outro.
From the darkness in the land
Yeah.
of, yeah, whatever.
That's like that's when the movie becomes what it is for the rest of the movie. That's when it
Yeah.
becomes the gate. That's when it
Hmm.
moves from this like mediocre 80s movie to like, okay,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. It's
What?
basically the second act. From the second act on, it's good. I think it's what? It's about a 90-minute movie.
Hmm.
So the first 30 minutes, just kind of get through that. And then once you get to minute 35, it's pretty much all good. And then you've got an hour of good after that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Terry is a punk. He's the only character that they brought back for the sequel, which was made a few years later, which is not nearly as good and really kind of dumb. But I mean, obviously the story, of course, is you've got Glenn and he's got his rockets and he loves his sister and his sister wants to be cool and she's annoyed with him because he's annoying. And then the monsters happen, and then he has to destroy them with his rocket because the rocket is a symbol of true love or whatever the heck. I mean, that's super
That's
tenuous, man. Like,
it's super the it's we talk a lot about this on the show about like
mhm.
good planning.
Right,
And this movie certainly had it with certain parts,
right.
but the plot was not exactly one of them. Because it's
No.
kind of like you have this decently acted movie where most of it's like, love my sister. She's doing this now. This is how you destroy eternal demons. And then you're kind of as the audience member, like, what? What? And then later you're like, it's a movie where when the character's like, I don't know if I remember exactly what this is, you're like, me
Mhm.
either, because
Yeah.
you didn't set this up that
No,
well.
they
So
set
to
up
its
very
credit,
little.
it does that. I'll give it
Mhm.
that much. So yeah, but I enjoyed it. The special effects when the little guys show up,
The little demons.
the little demons are kind of what this movie's all about. I thought they'd be like a Gremlins knockoff, but they're really not because they're
No.
not like destructive.
They
They're
kind of
just
don't
kind
do
of
much of anything.
just there and they're if they looked any scarier,
Hmm.
they'd be absolutely terrifying, I
Right.
think.
But they're
Especially in
kind
some
of
scenes.
goofy.
They're mostly really goofy, and the movie kind of leans into that
Hmm.
for a little bit. And I think it's all set up for when Terry falls down the pit, which, by the
Hmm.
way, if I had seen the scene of him falling down the pit and it's like a motion tracked,
Hmm.
when I was a kid, I probably would have had nightmares.
Hmm.
That was spooky.
Yeah.
The movie's randomly, genuinely really scary, and it threw me off.
You've been bad.
Yes,
We'll get to
yes,
that, but
that's another moment. But like,
it has
but
genuinely creepy moments.
then the building up the little guy's being goofy. It's just he falls down there, and then there's one of them, and he's like, "Mama, bah, 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 bah." And you're like, oh, maybe they're misunderstood. And then the other one comes up and bites him on the
Yeah.
leg, and it's like, what the frick is going on right
Yeah.
now? And then they all come around, and he's screaming,
Hmm.
all scared out of his mind, and then. And then he kicks the one and it spazzes out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's scary. That's
Hmm.
like unsettling.
Hmm.
That's that ain't right. That ain't
And
right.
kind of funny too, but because they,
Kinda.
they move like real fast and twitchy. And for the audience who's probably thoroughly lost now. So the way the movie goes is once so the gate is open because they read this incantation. And the incantation shows up on an Etch-a-Sketch because they pulled a
Yeah.
geode out of the hole where the tree was. That's as good as I can give you because that it really doesn't make
That's the
any more
movie,
sense
man.
than that. Right.
Yeah.
And why a
Because they
geode is
find
evil, who
because
knows?
they find one geode when the tree's knocked down with the tree house in it,
Hmm.
and the punk kid, Terry, is like, one, we can get a big one for $100.
Yeah. Let's go
Let's dig
sell it.
up the yard.
Hmm. And they crack
Which,
it open
yeah.
and electricity comes out of it because that's what happens with geodes. And then they see this writing and they read it inexplicably. They're able to read it, and that's
It
like the
has like
first.
it yeah. And for the record, $100 in 1987 is worth $282 $1,000,098 in
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it, man. You could get like a Nintendo Switch,
Yeah, I
part
think
of a
it's worth
Nintendo
it. If
Switch,
shoot, if I just found a geode in my backyard and I could get 280 for it, I'm
but
gonna do that.
a big one. You got to
Yeah.
find a big one.
Huh. They found it pretty easily, looked like. I don't know if it was made of paper mache or what, but they found it pretty easily. And
True. I'm gonna put one in your backyard and wait till
sweet.
you go to the rock store and they're like, "Oh, this is paper mache."
So just to recap where we're at so that the audience understands this. So that happens, it's inexplicable. They read the stuff, and then that's like the first seal is opened. But they're not fully into our world yet. And then you
They
need
can
like
like
a
influence it.
sacrifice, right? And their dog dies, and the one like jock kid who may or may not have a crush or be the one who they have a crush on. I'm not sure. Like his sister, I think, has
It's
a thing for
not
him.
clear. It
Super
is
unclear.
not clear at all.
But he's like supposed to take the dead dog's body to the vet, and instead he's just lazy and he just throws it in the hole, and that constitutes, I guess, as a sacrifice. And now, boom, you got demons. And so the
Yeah.
demons come in big and small size, just so everyone's clear on what we're talking about. They're mostly small size for the majority of the movie.
Is it implied that Terry kills the dog because he sees his mom because they're influencing our world a bit,
Hmm.
and then when he snaps out of the vision, it's
I think,
the dog.
yeah.
Which, by the way, first time the movie's actually scary.
Hmm.
What the frick? It's
Yeah.
a he thinks it's his dead mom.
Hmm.
Is the like, and that by the way, because it's this movie, they're like, Terry's mom died, so that's
Yeah.
probably why he's upset.
That's the
It's
most they
it's
give you.
80s camp. It's 80s camp.
Hmm.
That's what I can give you. Do you want anything else?
Hmm.
Too bad. Which I'm being a bit harsh. I'm being a bit harsh. But anyways,
It suffices.
suffice it to say,
Hmm.
then you have this dream vision sequence thing because the little demon guys are messing with our minds. And then he snaps out of it when he thinks he's hugging his dead mom, and it's a
Uh-huh.
dead dog.
Yeah.
If you ask me, that'd be it. I'd be going home
Yeah.
or something. That would
Hmm.
be I'm done. I'd call it a day. But these kids keep going. These
Hmm.
kids keep going. And then the little demons show up. The little
Yeah.
demon goblin guys.
Little demons show up, arms reach out from under the bed, the phone melts.
Huge arms that never show back up again
Right.
reach out from under the bed.
Lots of things just kind of ghostly things just happen in this movie because they're cool. And that I think
Yes.
is ultimately what this is why you watch the movie. For anyone listening who hasn't seen the movie or who's getting a vague idea of what this movie's about, the movie really isn't about much other than here's a bunch of loosely connected scenes that are like packed with special effects, monsters, and really well done special effects, kind of strung together by random bits of plot and some very loosely defined characters. That's
And
basically the movie.
and don't forget there's the scene where Glenn levitates at the party, which is all
Oh
around
yeah.
really funny
Hmm.
because
He gets so butthurt about it too, which is hilarious.
yeah, from beginning and the whole scene's funny. One, because this movie does what it loves to do
Hmm.
is as the parents are leaving out of town, it goes, "Don't have a party,
Hmm.
no parties," and then smash cut to party, which is funny. Like
Yeah.
it's effective. And then smash cut to 80s party. They're doing all sorts of things, which by the way, I think it's time that I mention, and you kind of alluded to it. There's things
Hmm.
I liked about this movie, and there's some things that like I don't know, like really lost me, seemed really dated. Like
Hmm.
the fact that this was an acceptable hairstyle in I don't buy it. Like there's things I'd be in for, and there's things that I wouldn't be.
I
For
worked
those
with a woman who had that exact haircut. And she
I
was
don't
like in her 40s and she had the like teal eyeliner and everything.
that for those not being able to see this, which is
Hmm.
everyone but Santino, this
It's one of the
girl,
sisters
it's
in
one
the
of the
movie.
sisters, and her hair is just what would that be? Hairspray? That she has like a normal
Yeah.
haircut. She has like
Hmm.
almost like a normal what's
It's
that,
like
bob?
layered though. It's a
And it's
layered
like
bob.
yeah, and then her hair just is poofed up in the front.
Hmm. In
Um,
every direction.
this lost me, man. Anyways, that wasn't even during the party, but we were on the
Hmm.
80s stuff. I just anyways, they have this party. And then while they're at this party, they're telling scary stories, which
Hmm.
is that something you did in the 80s? Is that what they did before you invented if they invented too much fun? Like they,
I mean, I like scary stories even to this day. What do you got against
is
scary
that what
stories,
people do
man?
at parties? I
Yeah,
don't
you just tell scary
know.
stories.
I don't party, I guess, is
I
what I'm
guess
learning.
not. You've been partying wrong. You're supposed
And
to get a whole bunch of teenagers together, light candles, drink a little bit of alcohol, and then some people go off and get naughty, and then the people who ain't getting naughty sit around and tell scary stories because they're losers and they can't get naughty. That's how it goes in the 80s. Andy, do you not know?
anyways, so where
I love
was
how we're
I?
gonna ignore that whole thing and just be like, so anyway.
So they're telling this story, and then the one girl's like, the one loser girl is
Hmm.
like, well, I guess we just believe in scary stories to da da da. I can levitate people.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yep. Again, out of left field. Let's
Yeah,
just
she's
make
like, I
this
can.
happen now.
I've done levitation, and then they
Mhm.
levitate Glenn, and Glenn levitates, gets scared out of his mind. Which honestly, reasonable reaction,
Yeah.
Glenn.
Hits his head on the lamp or
Yeah,
something.
it, like hits it, like tries to grab a lamp. It like pulls it to the like off. It
Hmm.
breaks, and then starts crying.
Yeah. Like a
And he
wuss,
runs,
man.
and then he runs off to his room. And I love that at no point in the movie is there like the line. I mean, this is a campy, straightforward movie, but I don't think there's ever the moment of like, oh man, mom and dad are gonna kill us for the dead dog. Which no, isn't dead yet, but like
Yeah.
for that lamp. I'm. They're like, lamp's broken,
Yeah, lamp's broken.
and we'll fix it when they get home. We have to
Hmm.
come up with an excuse then. But yeah, that's something. But then the little guys show up. The
Hmm.
little guys show up,
Yeah, they
and they're
do.
just so fun. They are just they're they're a bunch of guys in suits, right? They're
Yeah.
little guys. So you hate Godzilla, but are fine
Hmm.
with these little guys in suits?
They're my least favorite part of the movie, honestly. I
Okay.
I am
Okay.
disappointed in them. But in order to try to make them look more like they match with the stop motion, they shot them at a lowered frame rate to try to make it seem. And it just made it look stupid, in my opinion. Like no shade to
Yeah.
the effects artists who did a great job otherwise, but those were kind of, and I get it, budgetarily you can't do like a dozen stop motion demon things, but I don't like them that much.
I don't I didn't really catch when it would go in between the stop motion and the real ones, except when they would like turn into little dots and go together.
Yeah.
To its credit, it blends really well.
Mhm.
So hey, I'll give it that much. But
Yeah.
those were interesting. The big guy later in the movie. So I thought the movie was ending
Hmm.
when they throw the Bible in, and
Hmm.
it's like I'm like, okay, movies. That was that was a movie. This will be
Hmm.
interesting. And then more stuff starts to unravel,
Yep.
and they take the one other little guy. They take the little Terry. Is that his
They
name?
take Terry, they take
They
Al.
take Al,
Hmm.
and poor Glenn, man.
Hmm.
Glenn is like a wreck. Glenn is like, I just wish they would have take one of me, which
Yeah.
is like super noble.
Hmm.
Heart of gold from this kid, man.
Sure. Now, is this as many times as I've seen this movie, I can never keep the exact order of events straight. I think I think prior to this is when the parents quote come home and we get
Yes.
that scare, which is amazing. And it's Glenn and Al's parents are
Yeah.
supposedly home, like out of nowhere. They're just like they're there. And
I
so they
think it's
run out to
early.
meet
Yeah,
them. It's like
yeah.
midway through or something.
I think so. I think it's before the little guys show up.
Yeah, see, I don't even know now. I'm
I don't
not
even know.
100% sure.
And then so
They run to meet
we
him,
they run
and
to
what
meet him.
happens?
Little Glenn gets wrapped up in his father's arms.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh, maybe it is at this point in the movie. I don't
Hmm.
know, but you're like, oh, good. And then his father starts choking him. And you're like, what is going on? That's unexpected. Oh, it's
Hmm.
the demons.
Hmm.
Uh-oh. And then Glenn does what any child would do when his father's choking him. He sticks his thumbs in his dad's what he thought was his dad's eyeballs.
Right.
And the guy's face starts melting.
Yeah, which is
It
great.
must be it must be before the phone.
I
It must
think
be before the
so.
little guys show up because I remember when
Mhm.
they did the phone, I was like, they really just like melting stuff to me
Yeah.
because it looks cool. But I
Hmm.
was like, wow. So they they his face melts and it's like, oh, what the heck's going on? And
Hmm.
it's
And then the whole
somewhere in
head
there.
falls off too.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there that he says the line like "You've been
Been
bad,"
bad. Yeah,
and then
it's
the head
great.
falls off, and it's like, that's
Hmm.
the mom. The mom's
Yeah,
doing the evil cackle. Well,
which is great too
demon.
that she's laughing while this is happening.
Yes,
There's that comedy that keeps coming back in there.
and it's spooky. It's
Hmm.
scary. I feel like the demons didn't take advantage of being able to, uh, and you know, I'm really struggling with my words here. I'm sorry, guys. I think they missed an opportunity to do more with being able to look like people,
Yeah, it would
especially
have been a
people from
good budget
memories.
way to like get around having to do the suits and stuff. But
Yeah,
also,
you.
I guess that kind of gets played after a while. Like once you see it once or twice, it's like now every time a
I know,
person
but
shows up,
like,
you're gonna
what
think,
if you're pretending to be Al? What if
right,
you
that
were
could be
pretending to
interesting.
be Terry? What if you were
Hmm.
pretending to be Glenn to Glenn?
Could have been fun. However, we do get a demon Terry in the golf bag.
Oh my gosh, is that scary? Who just bites his hand? This
Yeah.
movie, okay, so this movie is unexpectedly scary at times and unexpectedly subtly
Hmm.
bloody.
Yeah.
One of those moments, by the way, when they're all alive still,
Hmm.
when before they've thrown anything into before they thought they closed the portal to hell, but they didn't, they go down to the basement. And as they're going down to the basement, Glenn looks at the picture
Hmm.
on the wall, and it's him and his family, and they're
Hmm.
all bloody
Oh yeah,
and
they're all
dead
slashed
looking.
up and yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, Al," and he's like, never mind, never mind." That's scary, man. Like,
Yeah.
what? And it's the first time the movie's like bloody besides the dad's face melting,
Hmm.
and so it's really like, huh, oh no, what?
Yeah.
And then it's gory for like a frame. There's a flash of a frame. Gory might not be the right word.
Mm.
Don't at me here. But when Demon Terry is
Hmm.
in the back and she like gashes out his eye,
Hmm.
and it's
Yeah,
like
she
boop,
stabs him in the eye with like a screwdriver or something.
yeah, and it's like bump, and then
He
you're like,
starts
oh
convulsing and he's like, it's
yeah,
amazing.
it's real spooky. And then and
Hmm.
then zombie Javier Bardem looking guy shows up.
Oh yes, the workman.
Yeah, which that's okay. So the movie, this is a good thing that it sets up and then
Yeah, they do set
accomplishes.
this up. Yeah.
Is Terry, who's this like troubled kid who's always got a bad story about anything good, talks about. Well, I think it's Glenn who says that Terry said, which that's this
Mm,
movie,
right.
but Glenn says that Terry said that they
You get the whole plot
that
secondhand.
yeah.
It's a whole movie where like you don't actually see the movie. It's just a movie with a guy sitting at a table. He's like, "Hey, did I tell you about this? This guy
Do
told me this happened one time."
you hear about that car chase over there? Crazy, wild. Things were going anywhere. Anyways, and then you
So
cut
anyway,
away to another guy
hmm, you
who
know
had
this
a
happened to my brother's cousin's uncle,
reminds me
best
of that
friend.
reminds me of that one time that this happened to my sister.
Hmm.
And um the kid sets up they that a worker died
Hmm.
while the house was being made, and in order to like keep the house building on time, they buried him in the walls.
Yeah, they just sealed him up.
Yep. And I know, easy solution.
Yeah.
And so then that's the first big like what the heck when you think the portal to hell's been sealed
Hmm. An
is
hour
this
later.
an hour later this guy comes out of the wall and is like, "Rah." And he kind of looks like Javier Bardem, if you're asking me.
A
Not
little
trying
bit.
to be mean to Javier Bardem, but I kind of was like, he looks like Javier Bardem.
Zombie
Um,
Bardem is great.
yeah. And so Zombie Bardem
Hmm.
was, and then he takes Terry
Hmm.
into the wall, never to be seen from again.
Hmm.
Not really,
Right.
but that's what it feels like in the moment.
Hmm.
And so that happens, and I'm kind of like, I thought this movie was over. What's going on? But mildly confused Andy in the mid-afternoon was not quite sure what was happening. But that's spooky, man. And then they
Hmm.
take his sister, and then stop motion monster shows up.
Hmm.
And the stop motion monster does what any stop motion monster does. He picks up little Glenn,
Hmm.
kind of rubs him. Does he
Hmm.
rub him? I might be
Something
adding
like
that.
I think he puts a hand on his forehead
Yeah.
and like
Holds
casts a
him tight.
spell.
And then Next thing you know, and they drops Glenn, and then
Hmm.
Glenn has an eyeball in his hand.
Yep.
What? You might be asking yourself, what? I sure was. Movie doesn't really answer it,
Yeah, it's just a weird thing that happens.
but
He's
it's
marked you
scary.
now. Hmm.
Yeah, he's marked you, and then he lets him go. The stop motion monster guy is cool. He's
Hmm.
pretty cool. He's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
Lovecraftian.
got
He's
like
got lots of
multiple
arms.
arms and
Yeah.
tentacles and yeah, multiple eyes, kind of serpentine.
Yeah. And like really good stop motion work. Really, really good.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, obviously you understand the reasons, plural, several reasons why I wanted you to watch this movie. And not the least of which, of course, be the effects. And speaking of the effects and everything else, one of the things that is so fascinating about this movie is because it was low budget. In order for them to do a lot of the shots where you have like the tiny little minions in the same shot as real people, they didn't have the money or the time to do comps. So there are almost no comps in this movie, almost zero, which makes you really think how they accomplished it.
Yeah.
So you
See,
want to take a
and I,
wild guess?
I think I know because I think I saw the answer, but it still doesn't make sense to me.
Hmm.
So I heard forced perspective,
Hmm.
which is a big chunk of it.
That's
But then
true.
how do you have shots where the camera moves so well?
Yeah.
Because isn't there a shot that it pans down to
Hmm.
them running?
Yeah.
How I didn't get it. See, that's part of it is I got forced perspective, but then how do you have them interacting with each other? I'm doing hand motions for those
Hmm.
who aren't
And he's
watching.
and he's like trying to effectively sculpt the scene in front of me. He's like, and the leg
Yeah.
was here, and they were
The
over
leg
here,
and
and
they're
they
running
were
here.
rare.
So
Yeah. So that shot in particular, you're talking about the shot
yeah.
out in like the patio stones, and you pan down to their foot, and you
Yeah.
see them running around. Yeah. So that's what's called a nodal pan. And basically what that means is that in the simplest possible terms is if you're going to move a camera on the X, Y, or Z axis, your perspective will change. But if you just pivot a camera from the point of the sensor, not behind the camera, not from the lens, but if you pivot it from where the sensor is, we say sensor given, digital cameras now, but at the time it would have been at the film gate where the film actually was. That would be equivalent to your sensor. So if you pivot the camera on its sensor, there is no change in perspective. You're just panning up or down. So you can actually have things that are stacked in space and still get away with forced perspective. And it all lines up just fine because your perspective isn't actually changing any. So that's how they manage that one, is it's just a nodal pan. And what it is they have, I think it's the girl who's in the foreground, if I'm not mistaken. They have Al up on an elevated platform. I think she's like 4 or maybe 6 feet in the air. This is all mathematical because you actually have to calculate distances and what your scale is supposed to be. I don't know what that is, but they did the math, they did it right. She's up on a platform, so is the camera. And then you have your stuntmen in the little suit, right? And by little suit, I mean like these are average height 5'8", 5'7" guys. And so they're like, maybe 35 to 50 feet away and down, right? And they are standing on oversized paving stones next to an oversized foot and leg portion that they built that's like the size of a tree. And when you line the two things up, they can now cast shadows over her foot. And she can, you see what I'm saying? So there's like all
So
this
where does
math
her
happening.
foot go? I might have not been listening to
Right.
all of that.
So her foot
Or
would
even if I
be,
was, it's late enough that I
no,
so her
no, it's
foot,
fine. Her foot, effectively what you've got going on is she's standing in the foreground. Her
are we doing
foot would
this?
be, yeah, so she's out like this. And then you
Okay.
have the other
It's
leg
a fake
behind her.
leg.
Right.
That's
But
crazy
partial
though.
fake leg. Because then the rest of her is in the foreground. Or no, wait. I'm confusing this with the one where Glenn is in the pit. That's a fake leg because they're grabbing his leg and moving it. For the one where she's on just standing on the patio, that's not a fake leg. She's standing. And they're just behind her on giant paving stones. And the angle of light, they should be casting a shadow on her foot. And so you just have like a PA standing off to the side with just like a stop sign, just timing it up so that he shines, or like he's putting a shadow over the light so that it looks like it's casting a shadow, but it's 50 feet behind her, if that makes any sense.
That is wild.
Yeah. And the paving stones, because I think they're like octagonal or whatever, they're using those lines as separation marks. So that you can actually, if you freeze frame it, you can tell like what's in the foreground versus the background because there's just a slightest bit of gamma difference between like what's in the foreground and the background, and you can trace it on that edge. But the
Wow.
fake leg is when Glenn's in the pit. That's like a whole giant leg that they're moving, and then he's just in front of it.
That's wild. So that's cheaper than just comping something
At the
in
time,
1980s.
yeah,
Yeah, seven.
it was always cheaper. And not only was it a little bit cheaper, but it generally yielded a better result because comps, they were optically printed. They were, you had to put the film in the fridge if there was any time between when you shot it and when you were going to expose it. And if the lines weren't lined up perfectly right, you get that little black traveling wiggly line around things. And so comps never really held up. So forced perspective and rear projection, all that was really the way to go, especially if you didn't have a lot of money. And there were only, I think, maybe three comp shots, maybe four once you have the Demon Lord, the big monster that comes out.
Yeah.
Some of that was on rear projection, some of it was green screen or blue screen. But the rest of it was all basically just forced perspective. And the biggest, most impressive one, in my opinion, aside from that paving stone shot, was when the workman they hit him in the head with the radio or whatever, and he falls and hits, and when he hits, he busts into a bunch of little minions and they all run around. So
Hmm.
that is a combo forced perspective slash comp shot. And I defy you to be able to find the seam. Once you see it, it's you'll never unsee it, but
That's
it's
so
incredible.
interesting. That's like it takes so much work to do the simple stuff back then, but it pays
Hmm.
off, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
pays off like infinitely.
excuse me, I used to
Bless
actually
you.
have I used to have a picture. I don't think I still have it. I used to have a picture of a behind the scenes that actually showed the way that shot worked with the force perspective. And in the simplest terms, what they did was they built an elevated set. It was off the ground by like maybe 15 feet in a studio. And the bottom of the set, there's no floor at all, except for a tiny little portion. If you recall, Al and Glenn are standing with their backs against the wall like this. And so they're pressed up against the wall, and they're standing on the one little bit of platform that actually exists. And they actually have them harnessed to the wall so they can't fall. And then that platform just dead falls into nothing. And then the camera's set up back here. And then under the bottom of the set, the false floor, is a giant floor that they made about 50 feet away, down range. And they've got all the stuntmen huddled in like this chalk line that they made with a grease pencil on like a piece of glass in front of the lens so they knew where the workman was going to fall. Workman's standing on a platform with a hinge at his feet, and there's a spike so that it'll catch his head and stop him from bouncing. And so they go action, the stunt or the workman dummy falls on the spike. They cut film. They tell everybody freeze. Then they take him out of there. They get everybody else out, and then they have the little guys line up where the guy was, and then they go action, and they go and they all jump around and roll, and then they get the kids' reactions, right? And then in the optical printer, you go in and you make like an 8 frame dissolve between like a rotomat of where the workman was and where they are, and they all kind of spill out of his shape. And
Wow.
it's amazing. But the edge on that fake set isn't just a clean edge like you would think it would be. You'd think it would be just like the bottom of the set. It's the bottom of the set until you get to the door, and then it's like half the door at an angle to follow where the shadow is on the door. And then there's a starched I think it's like a sweater hanging on the door that hangs over that line to try to disguise it. And then it's back to the floor, and then it's the first two top drawers of his dresser, and then the two bottom drawers are pulled out, but they're built in giant 50 feet away. And it's
Oh,
it's all it's
wow.
madness. It's absolute madness. And it's pretty darn seamless and it's really impressive.
See, it's just a level of technicality that goes into movies that these days it'd be, oh, we'll fix it in post,
Exactly.
almost. And we say that a lot, but it's true a lot. I mean, I think even shots of like the mods in this movie,
Hmm.
it's just nice that they're real and they're
Yeah.
like really there. And they're still doing tricks with them. They're still making them move and stuff, but like
Hmm.
it's not the same as if it was just like a CG moth.
Exactly.
Even if it was a great CG moth.
Hmm.
There's just a level. I also like the way this movie looks. It's very simple, but
Hmm.
it's very like gel, warm colors
Hmm.
of the 80s. You gotta love those 80s colors. And that's and like the whole thing of if it's a movie before what would that be? Like literally a movie before like the late 90s, early 2000s. We talked about this, I think, on the last episode, being that our discussion on The Fugitive.
Hmm.
Um, Movies shot on film just hold up so much better. Like
Yeah.
literally the cheap look on film looks great now.
Hmm.
And it's just fine. It's just
Yeah.
good. So like I think that's another case of this where it's like you you get away with a lot just the fact it's a shot on film, decent,
Hmm.
scan of the movie. So
And the reason that even holds up is because now digital is so light sensitive, you don't really have to light a scene. You can just film it. And so it's not going to look good because you didn't really put any work into it. But on film, it takes a lot of light to expose it. So even the lowest budget, like the lowest of the low on film, like you look at Evil Dead 1, it's still fairly well shot. Like you still had to design
yeah.
the light because you needed to expose the image. And film just has a density to the shadows because it's a tactile thing that you really don't have in digital. It's not that digital can't do it, but when you're low budget, you generally don't have the talent or the time or the money to make it happen. So yeah, I'm always going to be more about low budget on film than anything else. But there's a magic, and we talked about this with The Fugitive, I believe. There's a magic to just watching something impossible happen in front of your eyes prior to 1993 because you
Yeah.
knew it couldn't be CG. So now you don't know how they did it. And it's really more of a magic trick.
Yeah, this like magic trick of film, we've lost it.
Hmm.
There's still movies that can give it to us from time to time, but they're few and far between, and they're almost better done in hindsight, right? Like when you realize the special effects that go into a movie like Godzilla minus one
Mm.
or jumping categories, all the like invisible CGI movies these days are, oh, there's no CGI in this movie, but
Right.
it's really a ton of really good visual
Hmm.
effects. Um, but you can't have that simple magic trick. There is no cheap, affordable magician in Hollywood these
Right.
days. There's probably a better analogy in there somewhere that we have to work on that one. That's a doughy idea, but
Hmm.
we'll flesh that one out later. But I liked this movie. I think it's cool. I miss a good PG-13 monster flick. They're
Hmm.
few and far between, I feel like. And so
Oh
it's good
yeah.
to catch up on the ones I haven't seen.
So on a rating scale, now that we've been through the film, what would
Yeah.
you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd probably give it like a 6.
Yeah.
Like it's good.
Yeah, that's
Like it's
about
good.
where I put it.
Yeah.
It's watchable. It's interesting. It's got its boring moments. It's got its good moments. I know the answer to this already, but I'm going to ask, does it have your heart?
No, I don't
Yeah.
think it does. Does it have yours?
Only because of the technical and the nostalgia of it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that it's like if my heart had to have levels, if that was even a thing, it would be like in the basement of it. It'd be like just barely there. I mostly watch it because of what it is and not it's not something that had I seen this when I was a kid, I'd probably have a lot more nostalgia for it. I didn't see it till I was like 18, so you know, Evil Dead 2 is far more, has my heart than this movie.
Yeah. And just because I'm not necessarily like gushing about it, this
Mm.
movie is like really technically impressive to like back up where your heart's at. Like mind-blowingly good. Like, and it's kind of this, it's funny because we talked about it. It's this trade-off, right? Of such good forced perspective work
Hmm.
that's been thought out so much, it mixed with like mediocre creature design
Hmm.
and really weird like movement from the creatures
Right.
that like then balances out to like, well, it's okay. Like, it's still technically super impressive, but
Yeah.
like overall, like what does it invoke in the audience? It's like, that's
Mixed
interesting.
feelings. Very
Yeah,
mixed
mixed feelings
feelings.
for sure. So it's yeah, it doesn't have my heart, but I liked it a lot. I'd recommend it. I'd be quick to recommend it, and I'd
Hmm.
I'd probably watch it again. It's not a I'm never watching this movie again. I'll say when they started coming out of the ground, I started thinking of elves.
Hmm.
Um and and that made part of the movie real weird for a little bit.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it
Incest Nazi elves, man.
yeah, if you haven't heard of the movie Elves, you're probably good. Your life can your life will be just as fine. Uh
Your grandfather is your grandfather and your father.
it's a line in that movie,
hmm
ladies and
Not in
gentlemen.
the gate, but in elves, yes.
Yeah, in Elves. The
hmm
Gate PG,
PG all the way,
yeah.
kind of.
There's some yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So this was the first in a kind of a short parade since we don't have a lot of episodes between now and Halloween, but everything I'm going to recommend for the next month and a half is all going to be spooky season approved. So for
That's
the
great.
listeners at home, be prepared for some
Be
horror.
prepared. I don't know what we should do next. I am realizing that as we are recording. Do we want to try to do Malignant? We've been saying that, but do
We
we want to try to
could.
do Malignant?
You were going to have your dad watch it, and then we
We're
were
gonna have
all
my
going to
dad
talk
watch
about it.
it
That's a
because I don't
special
because I
episode.
want to keep the spooky season stuff going, but I don't know how we're gonna do spooky season and it not be something you've seen.
I mean, I'm sure there are
But
things out there. Like I've
I'll
never
I'll
seen
either look
Hocus
into it.
Pocus.
Neither have I.
Yeah,
I haven't, but maybe not
yeah.
now.
No.
Um, we could either do that or we could do just movies we love that are spooky season movies. We could pull that card.
Mm,
I think it'd be totally fair.
yeah.
So we'll discuss and
Mhm.
we'll keep the suspense of the spooky season
Oh
in
yeah.
what will the next episode be.
The suspense, aka us not being fully prepared. But
Yeah.
for the audience, it'll be suspense.
Yeah. And for the audience, it'll probably be like, who cares?
Yeah.
So for those who are new to the show, here's the deal. If you liked this show, I put on sunglasses to say this, just so you know. I don't really know why. If you're new around here, here's the deal. If you liked the show, send it to a friend who you like to talk to movies with, and or your family group chat. Those are your two options. And if you didn't like the show, keep that to yourself, man. The world has the world has enough going on.
Yeah.
We don't need to hear you talking about not liking us.
hmm
I love you though, because if you're listening, we probably know you personally. Um, we don't have any social media. Well, personally, we do. If you Google me, I'm not the pastor in California. I don't know what happens if you Google Santino.
I mean, don't
Check.
Google me between 4 and 5. That's my time.
Yeah, exactly. So watch out when you Google him. If you have a movie you'd like to recommend or hear our thoughts on or brief thoughts on, email at us at onlyproblem with Santino and Andy at gmail.com. And we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. I'm Andy Matzke. That's Santino Vitale. We're signing off.